We have the reporting of what Pete Hegseth allegedly did with this veterans group, his behavior, apparently drunkenness, and conducting himself in very odd ways, standing up saying, I don't know, allegedly like death to all Muslims or something like that. Just really, really weird stuff. The allegations from the New Yorker this week: he was fired from the Veterans Advocacy Organization by the Koch brothers for financial mismanagement, routine intoxication on the job, drunkenly screaming, "Kill all Muslims" in front of his colleagues, and FA of female coworkers. And we know, and then if we can put this up, I think we have pictures, you guys may have them, I'm not sure, of him. He's with Marsha Blackburn, saying Pete Hegseth. She's saying Pete Hegseth is an outstanding choice as Secretary of State. I'm confident will bolster our military and make an excellent addition to the Trump administrations. Ted Cruz, a picture with him. Pete Hegseth is an outstanding choice as Secretary of State. I'm confident he will bolster. The same thing, right? Senator Lee, great meeting with Hegseth. And on Tommy Tuberville, he's a decorated veteran and a patriot.
Well, before we even get to all of the allegations about him, and I have no reason to believe any of them are false, I just want to talk about the double standard of qualifications. Mm-hmm. I mean, remember when we had a debate about a year ago, I think it was, about Claudine Gay?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Who was the president of Harvard, and supposedly she didn't footnote an article or something, or in a book that she wrote years and years ago. And they were so concerned about meritocracy and qualifications, and we can't have all these quote DEI people. And then they were concerned. Remember, they were concerned about Ketanji Brown Jackson when she was nominated to the Supreme Court. Here's somebody who had experience at the federal district court and the federal appellate court before she even got to the U.S. Supreme Court. Had experience as a public defender, had experience on the in areas that no other member of the Supreme Court had ever had before. The Sentencing Commission is what I was thinking of, and they said she was unqualified. When Kamala Harris runs for president, they say, "Oh, well, she's just a DEI candidate. She has no qualifications." And here's somebody who was a local prosecutor, a DA, who was a state attorney general in California, the largest populous state in the country, who was a United States senator and a vice president of the United States, and then ran for president. And they said she's still unqualified. But then they get somebody like Pete Hegseth, who is a Fox News anchor with no experience running anything in government at all. And they appoint him, or they try to appoint him to be the Secretary of Defense. And they say that's okay. And they stand up and cheer for him. And they pick somebody like J.D. Vance, who just got to the United States Senate last year, who has no experience in government at all until last year. J.D. Vance has no experience in government until last year, folks. And he's now the incoming vice president of the United States, a heartbeat away from the 78-year-old president. They elected Donald Trump when he first came in office in 2017, January 2017. He was the first and only president in American history to be elected with no government or military experience. And they had no problem with any of these people. They had no problem with Linda McMahon, the Wrestling Federation, wrestling CEO, co-founder, coming in to be the head of the Department of Education. They have no problem with all these unqualified people coming in because they are white, and they plan to focus on protecting white supremacy. And so they finally pick one black person, Scott Turner, to run HUD, because that's the only office that they think black people.
Oh my God, that's the black job. That is the black job.
That's the black job, because that was the black job in the last administration with Ben Carson. That was the black job in the Bush administration with Alphonso Jackson. That was the black job in the Reagan administration with Samuel Pierce. I mean, it's always been the black job for the Republicans. And the idea that we still allow them to define the terms of who's qualified and competent, when they clearly don't care about competence, they clearly don't care about meritocracy, they clearly don't care about qualifications, they care about protecting power and white supremacy above all else.
As we put up this picture of all the people who are defending him for these really odd reasons or whatever, the qualifications, that's what really matters. But look, all of these folks who are defending him, he was up on Capitol Hill yesterday, and now they're saying he's a great man. And I think Tommy Tuberville was saying none of that. I saw an interview of him saying none of that matters.
We need a drill sergeant in the military. We need somebody to straighten the military out, to get the woke, the DEI affiliation out, and go from there.
And you don't have any concerns about the allegations against him in the New Yorker article, sir?
No, I've looked at all the personal stuff, and again, I've known him for a long time, and there's not going to be anything to this at the end of the day.
The woke, the DEI need to get out. I mean, they're saying we need to get the black folk out. We need to get all those people who don't think exactly like us and look exactly like us. And I think anybody who knows the history of the military, going back to 1948 when Harry Truman integrated the armed forces, should be concerned about the message that Tommy Tuberville is sending here. And Tommy Tuberville, by the way, has run racist campaigns in Alabama before he became a United States Senator and to become a United States Senator. So he's not the person I would trust in terms of credibility for what the U.S. military actually needs. But I think it's a reflection of the fact that the Republican Party has abandoned its alleged principles. There was a time back in the day, this to say the Republican Party was a three-legged stool. There was the social conservatives, the economic conservatives, and the defense conservatives. Now they don't care about any of these things. They nominated Donald Trump, who's clearly nothing moral about him. So the social conservatives should have all left, but they stayed there. There's a guy who's proposing tariffs is going to ruin the economy and create more inflation, and he's ran up $8 billion of debt. $7.8 billion of debt when he was the president for 4 years the last time. They clearly don't care about that. And in terms of national defense, here's a guy who's willing to give up Ukraine and abandon the protection of the military for Pete Hegseth, a guy who has no experience running a military or any organization to be the United States Secretary of Defense, and to have him replace Lloyd Austin, a four-star general who was black and former CENTCOM commander, with a Fox News anchor.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
I mean, there were essay allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, and they decided they were going to ram him through it either way. It clearly didn't matter when they picked Matt Gaetz at first, and even though he ended up withdrawing from the process, there were child sex trafficking allegations about him. I mean, it didn't matter with Linda McMahon. It still doesn't matter with Linda McMahon. There's accusations that she's covered up these things as well. And so why should it matter with Pete Hegseth? I mean, they're clearly using and abusing their power to prove a point.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the point is that they can do whatever they want. But the other part of the point, I don't think that they are consciously making, but they are definitely making very clear to anyone who's paying attention, is that they're all cowards. They're all cowards who are afraid to stand up to Donald Trump. And for the life of me, I don't understand why they're afraid of a 78-year-old former game show host who rides around in the golf cart. But that's who they're afraid of. They're afraid that Donald Trump is somehow
reality show host, a
game show, reality show. It's all the same thing. They're all trying to win something. But I mean, that's the person they're afraid of. And because he's actually managed to tap into that base of people who actually believe all those things that they're spewing out there, I think that the Republican Party, the people who claim to be the tough guys and the macho people in America, are actually a bunch of wimps and cowards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason why they won't stand up and challenge Pete Hegseth. There was a time when Republicans and Democrats, regardless of who was in power, that they wouldn't allow somebody who was clearly incompetent or clearly challenged, morally compromised, to take a position of authority in the United States government, especially as a defense secretary. There was a time when the Republicans used to care about national defense, and they would really not want someone who was a Republican or a Democrat in that position. But now they just don't care, because maybe they never cared at all.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure you hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And also, we'd love for you to become a subscriber. So hit that button too. We're live every day at 10 a.m. Eastern Time and 5 p.m. Eastern, so there's plenty of content for you to check out.